Welcome to the 90th Minute Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Mario. I'm here with my co host, Ian.
Hello, everyone. It's been a weird weekend.
Yes, so the World Cup has reached its semi-final stage. The last quarterfinal match was played last night, Jamaica versus the US. But just to give everybody a recap, Qatar beat El Salvador 3 goals to 2 on Saturday, and Mexico beat Honduras 3 goals to 0. Yesterday's two matches were actually still entertaining. Canada and Costa Rica put on a show, even though Costa Rica couldn't finish, and Canada took their chance. Canada created their chances and took them well. Hoylett's goal was a very good goal, and it seems like his career is coming down to its end now. I think he's about 32, 33. So
Mm-hmm.
having this in this tournament, he
All right,
scored in.
pause.
Go on.
Remember your point. United has signed Varane.
We've been hearing that all.
No, as in
all
confirmed signing. No.
Yeah, but we've been hearing that all window, so
Yes, well,
it's not
they made
surprising.
it happen. They
Yeah,
made it
but
happen.
it's not surprising. We've been hearing that transfer for the entire. We've been hearing that transfer for the entire window.
That's two very good signings for him.
So Varane, Maguire, that's in the center of partnership.
Yep, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka.
At least, and we'll see them still like get Trippier from Atletico. That's still a deal on the table. Let's hope that Barca can get Lindelof for cheap because of that. But yeah, back to the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Hoylett scored an important goal for Canada. Good goal as well. Ball over the top in one and the defense and chip it over the keeper. But he's not the most impressive person to me for the Canadian national team. I think Canada has had a good tournament, but their players have been inconsistent. Kyle Larin has 3 goals for the tournament so far. He's one of the leading goal scorers of the tournament, but he hasn't been scoring when it's important.
Yep, very true.
He scored in matches that were basically one matches they were supposed to win, and two he scored in like matches that were high scoring matches that they just blew the other team out. So the person that I've been most impressed with for this Canada team, it's hard to pronounce his name. And if I am
Mm-hmm.
telling you that it's hard to pronounce his name, it kind of difficult. Estaquio. Estaquio. Mabeluka, if you know what I mean. So Estaquio. I don't know if it's Westaquio or Estaquio because EUS. But Estaquio, he's to me been the standout player of the overall tournament. Now they have Jonathan Osorio who plays for Toronto FC in the MLS. He's been
Yes, I was just
Toronto
about to
FC.
say that you need to explain who these players are because
I
not
get, oh,
many
I get
persons
into
are
the yeah,
watching the Gold Cup.
I get in, I'm getting into,
Persons are watching their preseason clubs now.
Yeah, so also I wish Chucky Lozano. I don't think I've said this on the podcast. I wish Chucky Lozano a speedy recovery. He got
What
injured in.
happened to Irving?
You never seen him injury in the first match of the World Cup.
No, I have not. I told you before that I'm not watching no match of the Gold Cup. Not one.
Yeah, so and it's been an entertaining tournament. Every team has
The
played well.
Euros have drained me. The Copa have drained me, and I am going through my football drought so that I am refreshed for preseason and for the new season coming up. Plus, I'm focusing on the Olympics, which is to me a higher priority than the Gold Cup. So I've been watching the Olympics.
In all fairness,
or,
in all fairness, we should have how the year should have went if the Euros and Copa were kept in the year that it should have been held. You would have had the Gold Cup earlier in this year, and then we'd have time to like just focus on the Olympics.
Yeah, but the
Um,
Olympics would have been last year as well. So
exactly. So would have time to focus on the World Cup, and they could have probably put the African Cup of Nations in the summer and
like
the Asian Cup in the
Philippines
summer.
won their very first Olympic gold medal today. And, like things like that. Like I know to a lot of persons the Olympics aren't that, it isn't really all that, what do you say, prestigious. I guess I wouldn't say prestige, but they don't find it exciting.
No, they
But
actually like they want to see the gold medal more. They don't want
Hindilin
to. They don't want to
Hindilin
watch.
Diaz
Yeah.
from the Philippines in
Mhm.
weightlifting, she won.
Is
She
she added that to that?
third
I think
attempt.
I thought it was Iran she come from. I mistake the
Yeah,
flag.
like her third attempt at 127 kilograms, and
Mhm.
she did it beautifully. That was a
Yeah, but
beautiful
guess what? We have a
lift.
podcast and we have a sports podcast. So guess what? You saved it for that. So to the Gold Cup. Because again, this is our football podcast, or
Yeah.
sports podcast, which you should be running for the Olympics. All right, so Estaquio, he's been very good, but let me just get out the other players before I talk about him. Junior Hoylett. For most people know Junior Hoylett from the English Premier League. If you've been watching the English Premier League from 2010, you probably know him from Blackburn Rovers as one of their wingers. Now, if you've been watching the Premier League from 2000, let's call it a 5 year period. So, if
Mhm.
you've been watching the Premier League from 2015, you would know him from Cardiff City, both in the Premier League and the Championship. He's been one of the best wingers in the Championship for years. He was actually pretty good in the Premier League. He just plays for a team that bounces into relegation, jumps up back, drops back down, and he's been one of Canada's consistent players alongside. We'll soon talk about the players that they left. His contract with Cardiff just expired, and he's now a free agent. And
Mhm.
Cardiff City are looking to make their squad younger.
Yeah.
So guys like him and Aaron Gunnarsson, Gunnarsson from Iceland. But Aaron Gunnarsson is the Icelandic midfielder who is their captain. He captains both Cardiff and Iceland, and he's a part of that Iceland golden generation with Gylfi Sigurdsson and Gudmundsson, Fingerbassen and Bojarsson. And they were the ones who beat England in the 2016 Euros.
Yeah.
And of course, they qualified for a World Cup that they got knocked out in the group stages, but it was the first time in their history that they went to a World Cup.
Just that they made it there. Yes.
So yeah, that's the type of play. He's usually a winger that has pace and dribbling. He started on the left wing. Well, not really left wing because they use a 3-4-3. So it's him and Osorio in behind a striker called Cavallini who started yesterday. Now, this is not Canada's best team. They didn't bring their best team to the World Cup. They left players like Atiba Hutchinson, who plays for Besiktas, who has been in Europe for years playing in the Champions League. He used to be a box-to-box midfielder and a defensive midfielder. He's now a centre back, or he's now
Mhm.
used mostly at centre back for club and country. But he's about 34, 35 years old now, and arguably Canada's best player of all time because of winning the Turkish League title so many times. And like I said, he's played in the Champions League and the Europa League every year of his career, either the Champions League or the Europa League. Usually gets knocked out in the group stages and fall into the Europa League, or they start right out from in the Europa League, and they've always made it to like the knockout stages of the Europa League, then get knocked out by the teams that eventually come down from the Champions League. They left Alfonso Davis, who knows a Bayern's player, and they also left Balotabla, sorry. Balotabla is basically what Barca wanted in Alfonso Davis in terms of when Bayern signed Alfonso Davis, there was another winger who was shining for the Montreal Impact, and we know that Alfonso came from the Vancouver Whitecaps. Alfonso used to play on the right wing, and Balu Tabla played on the left wing. They were seen as the two future of Canada. Alfonso went on to Bayern. Balotabla went on to Barca. Barca has now released him back to the MLS club. He's been there on loan once, but Balotabla is basically the right wing version of Alfonso
Left
Davies, who now
wing.
plays on. Well, he's been played more on the right now, even
Yeah,
for club.
yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So in all fairness, he started on the right initially, but then played on the left. Then when he came to Barca, he still played on the left. No, he played well for Barca B. He's actually a pretty talented player still, to me. Like I said, I haven't seen anything bad from him, but he just never took that next step where he became a first team player. He actually had some good preseason appearances for us. But Barca's front three and even our backup, you know that it's a very competitive squad. So Barca loaned him back to Montreal Impact. He got back into form. Montreal wanted to keep him. Barca needs to clear space. Barca said, okay, go back to Montreal. So yeah, he's still one of the best wingers in the MLS right now. And he's being played mostly on the right now. So let's say that they keep the formation that they have now. It would be Alfonso on the left, Balotabla on the right. But let's get to their midfielders. Jonathan Nazario is an MLS veteran, been at Toronto FC for most of his career. And he's a high energy box to box midfielder with creativity, can dribble a lot and stuff. And in this at the Gold Cup, he's been playing in the front three rather than as a central midfielder. I don't know why, but it seems to work. I thought they would have put him beside Estaquio, which is where he would usually play. And he's about 28 now. So he's going to be in the squad for maybe the next 2 years as a starter. Or who knows, maybe even longer, because again, he's a very high energy, hard working player. I just spoke about junior highlights, and I just spoke about the players.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's add some excitement to the Gold Cup, because like I said, most people generally don't really care about the Gold Cup unless you're from the CONCACAF region. Yeah. And even then, within the CONCACAF region, most persons don't even care about the Gold Cup either.
I wouldn't say that. You know, friends. The only persons who don't care about the Gold Cup are the teams that are not competing. Honduras takes it very serious. El Salvador takes it seriously. Panama takes it seriously. Mexico takes it seriously.
Yeah, again, and realistically, or we can assume that most of the general audience that would have are not the ones who are super, super interested in the Gold Cup. So let's give them a reason to be interested in the Gold Cup. Let's give them a reason why they. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, you're introducing the players, but you need to give some spice. And let's be honest, no Canadian players are going to give anybody some spice.
I disagree.
None whatsoever. I've done Mario.
No. In terms of what?
Football enthusiasts will be interested in the Canadian national team and who these players are. Yeah. Enthusiasts, right? But we're not really catering for the enthusiasts right now. So Qatar has a chance of coming all the way from Asia. Almost.
Yeah, I was going to get to that later. Oh, I was going to get to that later on.
So let's jump into it right now. The CONCACAF region might be the only region that has a local tournament or regional tournament that can probably make a team from so far out of the region come and win.
And here's why that's a wrong statement. The Copa America has already experienced. You know that Japan
who did that?
You know that Japan almost won a Copa America, right?
Not
you know that Australia.
Not almost.
They almost won one. I'm not talking about they just came there and just appeared. This is not the first time, especially over here, that a team has been invited from outside and could have won the competition. Japan did this. I think Australia was another guest at the Copa America once. CONCACAF teams were once guests at the Copa America. Mexico has always done well in the Copa America when they were invited. Costa Rica did well at the one that they did as well. And we're talking about Costa Rica's golden generation with Keylor Navas, Gamboa Luna, Brian Oviedo, Joel Campbell, Brian Ruiz in his prime, and they went far as well. So
Yeah, but Japan
it's
is
not the first
considered a
time.
big team internationally. Like the Japanese national team is feared internationally. They are always seen as a team that is always been a powerhouse of football. Asia, they're a powerhouse in Asia, and they're one of the few teams that always do well at the World Cup. And sometimes they get the luck of the draw, they can progress really far. So Japan doing that in South America is not a shock or a wide surprise because the Japanese are known to play very good football. They produce some very talented players over the year, and a lot of their players, their league is very good. They have a very strong league that is recognized internationally as one of the world's best leagues in terms of quality of play, tactics, player development, academies, and all of this, right? They have some of their players who are playing in some of the biggest leagues and the biggest clubs in the world. So the Japanese football team, like the South Korean football team, are powerhouses in Asia and are teams that people take notice of on the international stage. Now, Qatar is not a powerhouse of football.
They are in Asia.
In Asia, but again, I think you have the quality of depth within Asia. I think what you have got the South Koreans, the Japanese,
South Koreans, Japanese,
the
Chinese, Qatar, the UAE.
Okay, the Qatar and UAE are not considered powerhouses of football internationally.
Well,
internationally, they're not considered powerhouses.
Yeah, but here's the thing about
but you say in the Asia, but Honduras is considered a powerhouse in CONCACAF. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are considered a powerhouse.
I wouldn't say they're a powerhouse.
When they go to the World Cup.
I wouldn't say that they're a powerhouse. They are very good.
Same for Qatar and the UAE. When they go to the World Cup, they're not considered a team that can spring an upset or a team that will upset the balance of a group.
I think that's about Qatar.
Chances. Yeah, that's what you think about Qatar.
No, but you see, Leon, you're going based on what people have not seen yet. None of these teams that you're talking about have had a chance to prove that.
Yeah, because they haven't even qualified for the chance to do that. Exactly.
Yeah, but hold on, but here's the thing.
Was Qatar in Russia?
No, but let me explain that point. Let me explain that point exactly. These teams like Qatar and the UAE, they're spending they've spent just as much money as China bringing in players into their league. The Qatar League and the United Arab Emirates League, both of these leagues have been taking in players. For example, Xavi is a coach in Qatar for Al Ahly. We've seen players like Ricardo Quaresma, coaches like Jorge Jesus have been to Qatar. There have been many players who have left Europe in their old age, who were either used to be world class or used to just overall be good players, even if they weren't world class, to go and play in Qatar. What people haven't noticed over the years is that these leagues have been growing and the players in these leagues have been getting better coaching. So it's more about, like I said, and it's the same thing I said about the top 5 leagues in Europe. Most people go off of reputation rather than what have you done for me lately. Now, granted, that also has to do with how much publicity you're getting. Qatar's league, if you don't watch beIN Sports every goddamn day of your life, you're not going to see anything from Qatar or UAE. And most people in world football don't get to see that. And I've said it all the time. We're going off of a reputation that is not based off of what you saw. It's based off of what you did not see. So, okay, well, I've never seen Qatar. And again, it's not wrong for you to think that way. But I am speaking based on what I've seen happen over the years, including recently. These teams, not only are these teams improved, but also their coaching has improved. Their academies have improved. They've spent just as much as money as China on their leagues. They've done it in a better way, which is more sustainable, but they've spent as much money. Like right now, Mario Mandzukic literally left China, then went to Qatar, then came back to AC Milan. Why? Because there's money in those leagues. a lot of players have left Europe to go and earn themselves a huge paycheck in Qatar, in the UAE, and in China. Those are the
Yes,
three
that is
leagues
true.
you want. Yeah, but it has improved them over the years.
Yes,
Now,
they
of
have
course,
improved, but again, are they on the same level as Japan and South Korea?
in terms of Asia, they're right behind them. They're not separate from them. What Korea and Japan are going off of is reputation. We have a reputation
Reputation
of
and a
them.
consistent stream of producing good world-class players.
Yeah, but again, Leon, these teams have been established for 20 years. You're talking about UAE and Qatar, who just recently, over the past, let's call it 10 years. Because let's say 2010 to around, like the last 10 years, have just started having a football league. So that you can't really, like I said, if you're not watching these teams actually play in an Asia Cup, because the UAE went very far, and which is why a lot of people were disappointed by Omar Abdul Rahman. Now, some people may not know that player, but he was supposed to be the Neymar of their leagues. And he is really, because he's won the Qatar league, he's won the Saudi Arabian league, and he's won the UAE. So he is their Lionel Messi, he is their CR7, he's their Neymar, to make a more accurate comparison. The reason why the UAE was disappointed by him is because they went far in the Asia Cup and got beat by, of course, the more established Japans and Koreas. But they were wiped off the floor, is what I am saying. They're not teams that, okay, if they play Japan, they're getting 5 today.
Okay, I get that. I understand.
That's the point I'm trying. Of course, Japan are still going to beat them. Of course, Korea with Wang Sun are going to beat them. But they're not getting walked over by these teams. And that's why I said it's what have you done for me today? What have you done lately with sports? Because we're going off of reputation. Nobody's ever heard of Qatar other than the fact that they have a fucked up World Cup about happening. Nobody's
Yes,
heard of
that
the
they
UAE.
won the World Cup bid by spending money, not on men.
Exactly. So most people know them for the controversies rather than the actual football that's being played there. Partially because nobody can watch the football being played there. I can barely watch the Japanese league. African football is just being shown being sports. So I'm saying these teams are not good as Japan and Korea, but they're not being walked over by these teams either. And I'm surprised the Middle East doesn't have a confederation for itself alongside India.
No, because it's split between Asia and Europe.
True. So even India right now, their team is improving greatly. And I remember them signing like a 40-year-old Robert Perez, a 40-year-old Anelka. You remember when they were signing those guys?
Yeah.
Their league has improved tremendously. They're not a walkover team in Asia anymore. Of course, Japan can still beat them 3-0, 2-0. Korea can still beat them 2-0, 3-0. But they're not a walkover team anymore. So, yeah, if you would say that Japan, Korea, and China are the powerhouses, and China is not really a powerhouse, they're just a good team. Qatar would be a good team. UAE would be a good team. India. Now, the Taiwans and the Thailands are so, yeah, they're still a lot behind. They still have a long way to go. But like teams like Qatar and UAE who spend their money, they're not walkovers. They're not powerhouses, but they're not walkovers. I just didn't see Qatar being this good in terms of goal scoring. Like they look like
you said that they played
team.
really good football.
Yeah, they don't look like a team that, you know how most teams when they're just developing either use a 4-4-2 and they like sit back and defend and try to hit on the counter, and they don't have much technical ability. They have more work. They have more high work ethic than technical ability.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting from Qatar. They look like football players. They create chances at will with actual direction of play. It's not just, okay, I work very hard and let me swing across into the box and hope for this. That's what you expect from teams that are just developing. But to see them actually put the ball on the ground, have patterns of play, pull midfields apart, pull defenses apart. And again, they're not invincible. Like El Salvador scored 2 against Qatar. Canada scored 2 against, I think it was Canada or Martin scored 2 against them as well. So they're not invincible. What I'm saying is they ain't no pushovers either.
That's true.
And I get why people think about it like that. I get why, because nobody gets to see the Qatar League every year to say, okay, well, you know, these guys are improving. And I get that. People barely want to give league on clubs and people barely want to give credit to the Syria. So imagine teams like Qatar and those teams. Nobody knows what's going on down there. But that's my only point, is that it's not that far off. They're not that far from Japan and Korea right now. Again, these teams can not beat Japan and Korea so easily, but they're not far off as they would have been, let's say, for example, you use the 2018 World Cup, right? And I'm glad you brought up that point, because my prediction for Qatar, and if it's wrong, it's wrong too. My prediction for Qatar is to perform like how Russia performed at their World Cup.
No, man, that's madness.
It's madness, but that's what I'm predicting.
They're not. I predict they're going to drop out at the group stage.
I wouldn't be surprised if they move past the group stage. I'm not saying that they're going to all the way to the semi-final. Like I said, based on their performances that I've seen here, like I said, I would not be surprised if they're past the group stage. It would not.
No, they're not passing the group stage. Matter of fact, let's see them group. No, wait, the groups haven't been drawn yet. Depending on who's in their group, they might, but there's an 80% chance they're getting past the group stage.
I put that to
the reason why Russia was already a good European team that has always been a team that was able to get out of the groups at the World Cup. Right?
Yeah, and I would say that it wasn't the best Russian team that played at that 2018 World Cup.
It wasn't the best Russian team. That is true. Individually wise, it wasn't the best.
No, even as our group. Even as our group.
Spirit.
No, even as our group. The team with Yuri Zhirkov, Andrei Arshavin, Roman Pavlyachenko, even as our group, as a unit, they were better.
Well, one thing that this team had was that they came together at the right time and they were able to do something good, and they had good quality players in that squad. So, you know, like even South Africa always had a good team when they were in Africa. So it was no surprise that they did well. They didn't progress, but they played well, and you know, they could have had maybe some luck. Would have probably gotten out of the group stages in 2010. But let us not pretend that Qatar, in terms of the teams that are coming into the World Cup, won't be one of the lowest ranked teams in there. Because out of the 32 teams that will qualify for the World Cup next year, right?
Yeah.
You have the European giants, who most European teams are already further ahead than Qatar in terms of footballing development and quality of play of players. They are already ahead. Yes, Qatar and China have spent billions of dollars to play catch up, but that's literally what they are doing. And they're trying to use money and an influx of overseas players and an influx of overseas coaches to try to to increase how fast that growth
I would say that growth has happened for Qatar. Now, of course, they're still going to be one of the lower ranked teams, but at the same time, I still see them having a chance to exit their group, even though I don't know the group as yet. You put it at 80%, I would give them around 60 to 65%. That's just me personally. Like I said, I'm not seeing a team that is just simply developing. For example, when Iran went to the World Cup and they had what's the guy name who used to play for Fulham? As soon as I remember, they had a good unit of players, but they only had one talented player who could create and so on. That's not this Qatar team.
But you see, that's the thing, Mario. You're basing this Qatar team based on CONCACAF. You get what I'm saying?
No, not just, but again, it's not just CONCACAF. I'm basing it off of their years of development. I'm not basing it off of just this tournament. This tournament has shown me that they're not just a team that is going to come and sit back and defend. But what shocked me about this tournament is how they play.
Yeah, but you see the thing, Mario. I don't know why you were shocked, because historically, right, Asian teams, Middle Eastern teams, they've never been the teams to sit back and the counter. They've always been teams that play football. They've always been football playing teams.
No,
even
but
if they never had the quality of players to put it on.
But which Middle Eastern team would you say have done that over the years? Like, again, other than Japan and Korea, what teams have really done that? In terms of come out and play against an next team. I'm not talking about
Morocco. Morocco did it a lot.
Morocco is not a stop. Morocco and Egypt are African teams.
They do well, because they are considered great name there because they signed up to CAF.
They're African teams. They're
not
African
the Asian. But sometimes that's what but that's it's hard to say because Qatar is in the
and Morocco
Asian
has talent.
Federation.
Morocco shits out talent. The problem is they don't develop the talent, or the talent doesn't choose the right clubs. A lot of Moroccan talent has been wasted because of.
All right, let's use Iran. Iran always played good football. Syria always played good football.
I don't see that
Libya
in Syria.
always played good football.
Since when?
They've always played good football.
I've never seen that from Libya. Is still considered in Africa.
Yeah, because again. But these are countries that are in the Middle East. But that's the thing. It's kind of hard to make the distinction because they're in the Middle East, but Turkey is considered European.
Yeah.
Because they are part of UEFA. Israel is a part of UEFA. When Israel is smack dab in the middle.
I'll give you Israel. I'll give you Israel.
Israel also plays good football. But they have a strong domestic league. Yeah, exactly. Recently Syria has not done like anything, but historically Syria has always played good football. They've always played football on the ground. And here's the reason for that, right? All the other nations around you, all right, the nations further up, because African teams were never known for sitting back, right? They were always known for attacking and flair.
Yeah,
they've been way too progressive, that's why clubs love to scout African players, because other than South Americans, the next best players in terms of flair is African players. So they used to go out there. So because of the influence of the African region, right? That influence then came and channeled itself down into the Middle East, because you're going to see what your neighbors are doing, and you're going to replicate that same formula. Right, so most teams adapted a very attacking approach or a style of football that was based around having the ball, trying to create chances, trying to go forward and score goals. So it is of no surprise to me that Qatar is out here doing the same, because that has been the blueprint. That has been the blueprint in Asia. It has been the blueprint in Africa.
In all fairness, I wouldn't say that I can handpick the teams who play actual football from each of these regions. I'm not talking about just flair. I'm talking about having patterns of play. It's not just about I get the flair and the energy.
I get what you're saying about patterns of play. Like I said, not everyone pulled it off properly, but they've always attempted to do it. Not everyone has a coach that has been able to do it, but they've always tried to be very attacking. Whether or not they adapted the right principles, that's completely different. And we can go through the different principles, but they've always attempted to do it. They've always tried to do it. Whether it was wise or not is a completely different case, but they've always attempted, because that is the influence within that region, that specific region. That is their influence.
Like I said,
To be honest, it's mostly European teams decide to part the bus, you know.
true, but like I said, I've never seen it done in this way for Qatar. It looks like
No,
they're
because Qatar got a coach that was able to implement a philosophy and a proper style of play. Qatar was one of those teams who attempted to do it back in the day and then just failed miserably. And then you ask yourself, what in God's name are they trying to do? Because when you try to do attacking football and you put it off wrong, it looks like everybody on the pitch is just running around headless chickens.
and again, their coach is from Qatar.
Again, no, I think a lot of countries would be served better by trying their own domestic coaches. I'll be honest with you.
Canada is benefiting that from that like heavily.
Jamaica is benefiting from that as well. It's just that our federation has not been able to give the coach license and freedom to do what he wants. It's always some bullshit or the other. And then
when you're like from Jamaica to Canada to like Honduras, teams like these, the problem is they don't give their coaches the same respect that they would give a European.
Yeah, so exactly. And
so they don't allow them to experiment.
The stop with the coach.
Exactly.
Not just experiment tactically. I'm talking lineup. The coach doesn't do. The coach is basically just a figurehead. You have the president of the FA choosing the lineups. Where if you try that shit in any other,
well, not really the lineups. I want to say the lineups, but the players that are called.
The player selection.
Players that are called.
If you try that shit, let's say the president of Germany tried to tell Hansi Flick, "Oh, you should call up these set of players." Him get a resignation letter the next day.
But
there's only two persons that control the lineups for any footballing federations, and that should be the technical director of the FA and the head coach and the assistant coach. But it's mostly the head coach and the technical director that handles the selection of players. Now, for some nations, their technical director doesn't really do that, so it's left with the head coach and the assistant coach who selects the players to be called up. But one of the problems I've seen in CONCACAF, and it is changing, but I believe that the Gold Cup provided good entertainment value, and it provided good football and had some good, and it showed, I think, what the Gold Cup has done for us within the region, not just talking outside of the region, but for us within the region, is to get a good barometer on where your teams are heading into the final rounds of World Cup qualifiers. What do you need to improve upon? Where do you need to improve? And who is most likely to secure those qualifying spots and that playoff spot? That's what this Gold Cup, I think a lot of teams will be looking at, a lot of persons within the region, a lot of analysts within the regions are looking at this Gold Cup to say to ourselves, okay then, who can the United States make it to the next World Cup? Right? No. I think it's a given that Mexico will qualify. Bar anything, Mexico fails to qualify, I think we'd have to send...
Mexico has two starting 11s in their team right now.
Basically.
They're qualified. But to your point of who's qualified, I see the top 4 teams in CONCACAF right now as Mexico first. I would say one quick thing before I say anything. USA is the most boring team in this tournament.
Yeah, but that's because that's not even the USA.
No. Even going back to the CONCACAF nations where they play them, yes, the style of play that Greg Berhalter uses is boring. It's effective, but boring.
I think that's what they need. I think they need effective.
It's effective. I won't say it's not effective, because it gets them results, but
because let's be honest, we expect the USA to make it, right?
Yeah.
Now, USA has always failed at the second round in terms of the World Cup, and sometimes that has just been because they were trying to be too expansive.
Yeah, they actually play open against teams. With the Clint Dempsey's, the Jose Altidores of the world, they try to play. They try to they try to basically tell Europe, hey,
exactly.
We can do you too. We have European.
American
we have
Ireland.
Players playing. Yeah, London. They had London Donovan and Dempsey to create that Josie Altidore.
Exactly, and guess what happened? They got taken to the cleaners.
Yeah, because
then you try that against the European, and they were always, and I know, funny enough, it's always against a European powerhouse team, not an upcoming team or a team that is not highly ranked in Europe. It's always against one of the powerhouses. And the only time a powerhouse loses is normally 9 out of 10 times on the international level is that the team is going through a transition. When they lose to a team that they should beat. And transitions in international football, as I have now learned, I have now accepted, are very long, painful processes.
It takes time. I've been telling you this for years.
I mean,
football transitions
more than two major tournaments.
Yeah, it takes like a 10-year span. When you fall off the top, it takes like a good 10-year span. You just don't but you see, here's the thing. You see, I think we're used to club football where if a team is transitioning, it takes 2 years the most. Because in club football, if your team is going through a transition period and in a 2 years, blow it up and start over. So I think we're used to club football where, all right, if I buy a group of players and after 2 years this thing don't work, sell these players and buy some new players, or bring up some academy members and get rid of these guys. So I think we're used to more quicker transitioning because what we see every day to day has a quicker transition.
And to be honest, in my opinion, I've never seen, like, Germany has transitioned between squads before, but we've always transitioned while being successful. Germany's failure is like finishing in quarterfinal spots, which is seen as a travesty.
Yeah,
in Germany.
But I use Spain as the example. Spain dominated between 2008
to 2012,
right?
Yeah.
They dominated, and then the following World Cup after that, they got 5 in the group stages, got their ass knocked out in the group stages, and looked like a shell of themselves. And even this tournament, nobody expects Spain to go as far as they did.
No.
And I also thought that was what helped Spain. There was no expectation.
None, and Enrique's a tactical genius.
So,
I did say that Spain has the best manager in the best coach in the entire tournament. And if there's anybody who can cover for the deficiencies of that Spain squad, it would be him.
Yeah, and if you look at, and you see, here's the thing about Luis Enrique. His Spanish squad that he was playing a part of, the Red Hot Spain,
yeah,
they underperformed because they were expected to be the they were expected to be the with Luis Enrique, Raul, and those guys, and those guys. They were expected to be that. They were expected to be that team that wins a lot of trophies, and they didn't. And then the Spain of 2008 with the Xavi, Iniesta, the Torres, Diaz, they came in and actually won the trophies.
Yes.
So
Funny enough, you know who's also going through that right now?
All right.
Belgium. By no fault of their own. They've just been unlucky.
My question for Belgium is what happens after this World Cup?
I think that's it for them. I think that's it. Because it's funny, It's funny. In 2010, that was the start of their generation. 2014, when Hazard needed help from De Bruyne and Lukaku, there was no help provided. In that, was it the
granted De Bruyne was playing, but granted De Bruyne was playing on the right wing at the time.
But he was playing in midfield.
No.
And then
He played on the, he played on the
he
right.
played in midfield. Wait, no. The front three was Mertens, Lukaku, Hazard.
No.
Hold on,
Which?
Stop.
Are you talking under Roberto Martinez or under
I'm talking Roberto Martinez. We're not at the 2010 team.
Okay. No.
The 2014 team.
No. Because you have to remember. No. Hold on. We need to forget this right because there was.
I am going to get it right. Just give me time to explain.
No, hold on. Because again, the manager who Wilmots did Wilmots not coach them at a major tournament?
Yes, but I said the 2010
not
World
2010
Cup was the start of your generation.
after 2010
oh,
they had
you mean the 2012 Euros? Yeah, but I skipped the Euros. I'm using the World Cup as the barometer.
2012 did have a Euros?
Yes, this one that Spain won.
Yeah.
And Germany finished the third.
Yeah, I just want to
get that what were them picking? Italy faced 4-1. Was it 4-0?
Yeah, Wilmots under
yeah,
Wilmots,
but like I said, I'm using the World Cup as the barometer. I'm using the World Cup as a barometer, not the Euros.
But 2016 was another Euros. Oh, 2014 and 2016
yeah,
are the
but,
next two tournaments.
Yes, so that's why I use, as I said, 2010 was the start of their generation. Right?
Yeah.
They did okay. They were using 4 center backs in their back.
No, not
because
they
have
no
time. Full backs.
Well, not at that time. Because they still had Daniel Van Boyt and company. Let me see who else.
They had Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Company, and another one as their back four.
No,
that was their back four.
Hold on, 2010 starting back four is different from 2012 because they still had the Bayern legend Van Boyt playing alongside Company, and they had Vermaelen. And I don't remember who was the right back at that time, but it wasn't yet the back four that happened in 2012. The 2012 back four was Company, Vermaelen, Vertonghen, and Alderweireld.
Then let's fast forward to 2014, right?
Yeah.
This is when the entire squad is in their prime. Mertens coming off of a 30-goal a season.
I wouldn't say that everybody's their prime. Fit. I wouldn't say their prime. Because
they were in the middle of their prime. They were in the middle of their prime.
I wouldn't say that. Bro,
Hazard was cementing himself as the best player in the Premier League at the time.
Yeah, but he's been doing that from he was young.
Yes.
Again, that's what I wouldn't say the middle of their prime.
De Bruyne was at City, coming off of showing his playmaking ability. Lukaku was banging in the goals. Mertens was banging in the goals.
Where was Lukaku at the time? Everton or Man
U? This was United's. At United when he had scored 20-something goal for it was 2014, is right? No, he was at Everton at the time. But he still came off of 20 goal a season with Everton.
Yeah, but just because you're playing well doesn't mean you're in your prime. Is what
Bro, they were like 20.
No, they were 25. No. Yeah, but that's still not your prime yet. That you're still you can still be world class, you know. But like, for example, Lionel Messi and CR7, they've been world class since they were in their 20s, early 20s, like 20 years old. Like 19, 20, but they still weren't in their prime. Even at 25, they weren't.
They were world class players.
Definitely,
individually, they were all some of the best in their positions.
Undoubted.
Right. And they showed up to that tournament. I remember the battle of the 2 number 10s, you know, when Neymar and Hazard, when everybody was asking who will cement themselves as the 3rd best player in the world. Right? And Brazil got taught to a Hazard masterclass.
But Brazil played excellent, you know, and Neymar.
No, they did. Exactly. I'm just saying that they got shown a Hazard masterclass. No, Lukaku did this thing. Lukaku always scores. No, De Bruyne was playing in midfield at the start of the tournament. Right? And persons was like, why they should put De Bruyne further up into the attack so he can be more effective. No. I don't know when Martinez changed it, but De Bruyne in midfield was working. They had De Bruyne alongside Witsel in midfield. Do you remember that dynamic?
Wait, which one? Wait, which tournament are you talking?
2014, the World Cup in Brazil.
The 2014 World Cup in Brazil, it wasn't.
Yeah, they had De Bruyne alongside Witzel, and there
No,
was
man.
somebody else in midfield with them.
No. At the time, it was not midfield.
Oh, sorry, you're
yes.
right. So right, I'm confusing the 2014 and the 2018 World Cup.
Exactly. At the time,
In
it was
2014, yes, Fellaini and Dembele.
And Dembele. Yes, it was Fellaini and Dembele.
And it was Mertens.
No,
it was Hazard, Lukaku, De Bruyne.
And De Bruyne.
And they did really well in 2014. Again, they lost to a big team. 2016 Euros was a bit of a disappointment for them because I had them as the team to win. Outside of Germany, of course, but I had them as the team to win. But again, they played badly that Euros. To me, they played badly. So they didn't live up to my expectations.
But here's the thing though, Roberto Martinez got the team in 2014, which was his first year with them. 2 years later, they had the 2016, which again, hold on. Martinez still never have the midfield sort of because
he never. But as I'm saying, come 2018, everybody in them prime. Everybody's in them prime.
Yeah.
Lukaku are banging the goals to United. De Bruyne just don't win the league with City to cement himself as a top 3 attacking midfielder. So, hey, things look to be happening now. Again, Hazard still Hazard.
One quick transfer news. Tottenham swap Brian Hill for Eric Lamela.
You have service? Yes, they bought Brian Hill from Sevilla.
Or is that straight up swap?
I'm not sure.
So there's no money involved.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye. Yeah. Yeah, I guess why not? Just check. Check what's on it. So look at it this way, right? In 2018, everybody was firing. Everybody was at their best. They all were coming off very good season respectively. They beat Brazil, right? That's when Hazard said, yo, I'm the third best player in the world. He announced that on the world stage. Are there any doubts in anybody's mind who the best player in the Premier League was? That doubt was officially removed. Because after that World Cup, he was always called the best player in the league. Before, some commentators was like, he's the best player, and some were like, he's one of the best. But after that performance, he cemented himself because he had a very, very good World Cup. The reason why he didn't get the Golden Ball is because they made it to the finals. Now, in their next round, I think they lost in the semis. Was it to France? I think it was France.
Because Croatia beat us.
Yes, so they lost to France. Hazard showed up.
I think everybody showed up. I just thought you.
No, I don't know. I think in that match. No, in that specific match, right? It is very unfortunate. But you see, sometimes in football, certain things you can't control. Nothing that De Bruyne tried would work. Nothing that Lukaku tried would work.
Again, I think he got.
Mertens came off the bench. Mertens came off the bench, and nothing that Mertens tried. The only person for Belgium that was really performing in the attack was Hazard. Witzel was doing his thing in midfield. The defense was doing his thing. The wing backs were doing their thing. But what you needed to beat that French team, you needed your front three to be on their A game, because France front three came on their A game. Yeah, and that was what decided the match.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think their front three played badly. I think you came up against another European giant. Let me use another example.
That's why I don't want to make it sound like, them underperform. That's why I said it's very because of lack of a better word, I will use underperformer. That's why I said what it does like anything.
You know that Belgium only lose to the future champions, right?
Yeah, I know.
Who knocked them out of the Euros this year? Italy.
Yes.
They only
That's
lose
what
to
I always said. That's what I've always said. Belgium has only not progressed because they've always had the hardest path to a final. They've never had. All right. The Belgium's England run, and you'll probably see something different. Because it takes a toll on you mentally and physically, having to play big teams back to back to back. It takes a toll on you. And no matter, and your players have to be at a very consistent and high level to be playing big teams back to back. England has had the two easiest runs to a final and a semi-final, and they failed to do anything with it. And even I remember in 2014 when Germany won, and we played France. That was considered an off game for us. Because France created chances that they should have taken, but they didn't take any of those chances. I will beat them 2-0. Against Brazil, that was just us at our best. Granted, Brazil never really put up a fight, but
that wasn't Brazil. Like, you never played a very good Brazil team. You played a good Brazil team who had injuries to their best players. Thiago Silva was out. Neymar was out.
Yeah, but the only thing that would have changed was the scoreline. They would have still lost.
Even if you want to say that, it wouldn't be 7-1.
Funnily, and we kind of stray from the point, but funnily, Brazil was the team that showed us that it takes a team to win the World Cup. And I don't understand how in 2014 they went against their own philosophy.
I don't think they went against their philosophy. I just thought that they went with a bit. Let me see. How would I put this? They went with a bit more physical squad in terms of style of play, which it made them lack a bit of creativity in terms of like midfield play, because they brought a lot of box to box and defensive midfielders.
No, but I'm talking the style of play and the tactics. The tactics was not geared towards team play. Because
it was actually
Neymar the ball.
No. It was the tactics were geared towards team play, but again,
and Scolari did not use up the options that he had.
No, but again, his options were all the same. That was the problem. All right, let's let us take off Paulinho and Luis Gustavo, right? I'm bringing on Fernandinho and Alex Sandro from Tottenham. Like, how that help your creativity in midfield? How that help you break down other teams? It allows you to sit back and counter teams, and then when you counter teams, you have Neymar.
Yeah, but I feel like they had options because you could have me wouldn't put Fela striker. That's just me personally. But anyways, you could have Neymar.
You have to also remember.
Willian on the right, or Willian as a striker, Hulk on the right, and have Paulinho and it was a Fernandinho or Fernando in your midfield.
And you have to also remember, Fernandinho wasn't the player he was.
I know. That's why I said Fernando.
Who?
And plus, you still had Ramirez.
Hold on. First and foremost, Ramirez was old Ramirez, not a prime Ramirez. That's the first.
The better than the options they have.
I disagree with that entirely. Like, Ramirez's legs were done by.
Who would have been the better option in 2014?
Fernandinho.
To play alongside.
Which is why they brought Fernandinho. Like, he would have been that option. But here's the thing: at the time, Fernandinho was still seen as a box-to-box midfielder, which was what Ramirez would also be. Which is why you put him beside. Which is why they put Paulinho beside Luis Gustavo, because Paulinho was supposed to be the high-energy box-to-box midfielder. Then you have Gustavo as a pure defensive midfielder. What happens when I take off the pure defensive midfielder with Luis Gustavo? I'm putting on another pure defensive midfielder in Alex Sandro. What happens when I take off Paulinho? I'm putting on Fernandinho as my second option at box-to-box midfield. No, he didn't use up Fernandinho in that World Cup overall.
No, he didn't. No. But
So
that's why I said I felt that Scolari, this Brazil squad had deficiencies. I felt Scolari did not utilize the squad to its best ability.
like I said, I don't see how much he could have changed. Hulk should have overall played better. Willian should have overall played better. Also, I thought he called up a very like not a very talented squad. He called a squad based on, and he could have called an overall more talented squad because Brazil weren't short of necessarily midfielders. What they were short of,
It was creativity and flair.
yeah, but he stacked that. He depended on that with Oscar, Hulk, William, and Neymar. The two strikers that they brought, Fred is a target man, and he was old by that time. Joe was the best striker Joe and Fred were the best strikers in the Brazilian league. But we're not talking about Joe. We're not talking about Joe from Everton or Joe from Man City.
No.
And remember, Diego Costa chose to play for Spain when he had the option to play for Brazil. So that also
which funnily, you know, I never understood that change because personally he fits Brazil more than he fits Spain.
Exactly. So
his play size more fits Brazil more than it fits Spain.
But like I said, Brazil gave him a chance at really. Spain gave him a chance at really playing football from his days at Valladolid.
Yeah, that they repay that loyalty. There's a lot of players that Brazil just looked past who has made a career for the national team. Jorginho is on the Ballon d'Or contender list.
And they've been doing this across history. Like even when
they have.
Even when there's another Italian guy who won the World Cup with Pele.
Yeah.
And switched his nationality to Italian, won the World Cup with Pele. This was when you never have any restrictions on like which nationality you can play for.
Yes, because Di Stefano, they're Argentinian. Argentina, Colombia, or Italy was the next one.
But just
do you think they should remove that?
No.
Okay, what about making a rule that you can only play for one national team within the same federation? So let's say you played for France, right? But France stopped calling you. But you can go play for a team in Africa. You're allowed to do so. You can only do it once.
No, but here's the thing again.
Even if you play at a major tournament.
The major tournament thing, I still agree with.
Really? You think that?
Yeah, because again, you can't just expect to go to another national team. And what if the national team doesn't want to?
No, I'm saying if the national team wants to call you up. All right, let's look at the Benzema France situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have played for Algeria.
Yeah.
Algeria made no. They didn't hide the fact that they would have liked him to. They would have called him up if they had the option to. And the France FA decided to not waive that right, you know? So I'm talking a situation like that.
But again, what happens after he plays one tournament with Algeria and then France ends up saying they want to call it for the Euros?
No. We can't go back.
And again, if Benzema didn't do that, and you have to also remember, Benzema played at other tournaments for France before.
Yeah, no. I hear him keep going to know herself.
But just to wrap up, I see a Mexico-Qatar final, and I think it will be an entertaining final. I hate to say this, but the Copa America and the Gold Cup have been more entertaining to me than the Euros. I think the Euros ended how we wanted it to in terms of Italy winning. Like, as long as England won.
Oh, yeah. I think just everybody is accepting that.
Yeah, anybody else but England. Canada might be the shock team.
Win the Gold Cup?
Yes. Like I said, this youngster, Eustáquio, he plays for Pacos Ferreira. like I said, they're like maybe the 6th or 7th best team in the Portuguese league. So he doesn't play for Benfica, Sporting Central Portugal, Porto or Braga. But right after that, now he's listed as a defensive midfielder, but of course, like I said, to me, he's more of a deep line playmaker who has the work ethic of a box-to-box midfielder. Because he can also play as a number 10, he can also play as an attacking midfielder. And to me, he's been the best player at the tournament. I think he deserves the golden ball even if his team doesn't win the final or doesn't go to the final. Because I think they're playing Qatar. Let me just give that confirm. Yeah, so it's USA versus Qatar, Canada versus Mexico.
Yeah, breakfast, right? Yes. Well, I know.
Yes, so I think the Canada Mexico match will be exciting, and I think that the US Qatar will be another entertaining game. But here's the thing: I see Qatar gunning down the US. Like they could embarrass them. Like this match can turn out 4-0. Because like I said, the US can't create anything, or they don't play with a playing style where they use a lot of creativity. They use mostly hard work and good structure. So it makes them hard to break down. But guess what? This Qatar team, their defense, they'll concede goals, but they will score them. And again, they create at will. That's one of the biggest things that about me and football. It's one thing when you can just work hard and play against a team, but when you actually have patterns of play that can pull people out of position, when your passes have intentions to it, when there's a difference, bro. There's just so much of a difference. It just seems different. It looks like everything is planned. It's like every pass, like it's done for a reason. Like they pull apart teams and score. And they work very hard for each other as well. So we might see USA get embarrassed on Thursday. Now, Canada and Mexico match, I think will be exciting, but I expect Mexico to win. So I expect Mexico to win the tournament overall. Canada to be the sneaky team that might win, because if they knock out Mexico, they're winning. But the CONCACAF region should ensure one thing, though. Do not let an Asian team win this time. Whether you're Mexico, Canada, or the US, do not let this Qatar team win this time. I love seeing them play, but it will look very embarrassing going into next World Cup.
I will not tell nobody that I'm from. Can you imagine Qatar representing us in the Confederations Cup? Oh my God.
Which frees up another space for the actual Asian champion. So Mexico just needs to.
Funny I don't think that has ever happened in the Confederations Cup history. Where there's two teams from the same confederations in there because one was invited and go in.
Well, no, it has because the World Cup winner has always been invited to the Confederations Cup.
No, so but we're not talking that.
You're not talking. Okay, just pure. Oh no, it's about.
As in they go to that confederation and won their regional title.
Oh no, it's about. Like I said, Mexico and a couple teams try to kick out the Copa America, but it's never happened.
Well, them cause havoc, but Argentina, Colombia
will still always win. We'll still win the tournament. Mexico, Canada.
You might come over here and mess up the place, but you're not kicked out of one house.
Exactly. Mexico or Canada. Canada, if you beat Mexico, please don't pull up blank against Qatar.
No, funny enough. You can see that happening. Because if there's one team will 100% beat Qatar, it's Mexico.
It's Mexico. And I think Chucky might come back for the finals.
If this was USA's A team, then you could say yeah.
Yeah, I would be a bit more confident. I would see a 3-3 and maybe Pulisic pull off a fourth goal.
Yeah.
But right now, if this USA team will come right, Qatar will walk through them. Like this Qatar team scores at will. They are the leading goal scorer in the tournament, the leading assist maker in the tournament. Trust me, they'll walk through this. Mexico has been just overall good. They've been Mexico. So I think that's where we have to end it for today. We've already gone way over the time that we should have gone.
Yeah, but we were able to cover many things, many different regions, I think that's good, I think, like, my dream one day for CONCACAF, and maybe I'd have to make it a reality, is that we are considered a powerhouse federation on par with CONMEBOL and UEFA.
That's not far off from happening. Like I said, we've never had the investment.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that's what I mean. That for all of our CONCACAF nations, that when you're saying you want to be a footballer, that it's not just one or two talents are being plucked out of the region. You get what I'm trying to say? The region is filled with talent. And we know it's filled with talent, but that talent cannot develop because there's nobody here to nurture that talent. But that's for another time, because the leadership in CONCACAF needs a rethink, needs a change.
All right, so that's where we leave it for today.
Yeah.